it's Nicole. So a lot of you guys have reached out to me on Instagram and had so many questions about the Haakaa that I've been using. I didn't realize it was that hot of a topic, and when all the questions came in, I decided I was gonna make a vlog for you guys to kind of learn a little bit more and for me to just give you some information that I've figured out along the way, and hopefully it will help you. So these are the Haakaa Pumps. There's two different kinds of pumps. I think there's more than just these two different versions, but these are the two I have. One I got from Target, one I ordered off Amazon. Originally, one of my old CrossFit Games teammates had sent it to me. She's a new mom herself, and she was like, you need one of these, it's the best thing ever, and she was totally right. I've been through a bunch now since then. I use them every day, all day, and so they kind of get dirty and I order new ones, just kind of a germ thing. But these are the two versions I have currently. So this one is, the lips are a little bit ridged on it here, and you can see it doesn't have any kind of suction base, it's just kind of a flat base. And then this one comes with a nice little like saver cap, which is really handy when you're traveling or, you know, packing it in a diaper bag. And this one, the lips on it are really flat and it has like a suction. So if you stick it like to the floor or to a table, it kind of stays there and it won't get knocked over. So just two different kinds, both Haakaa brand, both work exactly the same. I like having two because one's always in the dishwasher, or, you know, it's just easier to never run out of one if you have an extra. Throughout the night, sometimes I'll fill one and then just come downstairs and put it in the fridge and go back to bed. And then in the morning when I go to feed her, I'll use the other one instead of having to, you know, wash, clean, and then go put it back upstairs in the middle of the night. It's a lot. So I just like having two. So one of the main questions I got about the Haakaa was, when did I start using it? As far as like, how old was she when I started using it, and how often do I use it? So I started using it immediately. Like as soon as my milk came in, day 3 or day 4, and I started really feeding her, you will notice that your other side leaks. And so this is a great way to just catch the leak. Now I'm gonna show you in a little bit how to suction it on so that it does a little bit more than just catch and it kind of squeezes from you. But I started immediately, and I feel like that's why I've gotten such a big supply in the freezer, is because right from the get-go I started promoting milk production just by stimulating the other side while she was eating. So the answer to that is I started it ASAP, day 4, day 5. And how often? I try and use it at every single big feeding. So I don't like to leak, and I don't like that milk to go to waste. So anytime I know that's gonna happen, which is 90% of the time, I try to use it. It does give you a little bit of relief if you do use it often. So using it when you guys are full will, 1, give you a lot of milk in here, but 2, it will give you some kind of relief. I tend to tail off using it or not use it as much kind of like after 3 p.m. when milk is kind of scarce at that point and the baby pretty much just is getting what she needs from me. I don't really grab it or use it that much later on in the day. Another thing I found really helpful with the Haakaa was having it on a road trip. So we went on a 9-hour trip for Christmas to and from Nebraska, so 9 hours each way. And on the way there, I believe we only made 1 real stop. On the way home, I think we made 2. So not bad for a 3-month-old in the car for 9 hours. And this was a huge reason why we didn't have to make a ton of stops. So I would feed her and keep this on the other side, and then you have fresh warm milk that comes out of here, put it right in a bottle, and then the next feeding we were able to do from the milk that was freshly expressed in the Haakaa. Something else that I found that came in handy on the road was putting it on and then kind of hand expressing into it and then putting in the bottle to give to her. And that was a great way to kind of keep us moving but also get her fed with fresh milk. So she really liked that because it had just came right out of me, and using this was really the only way I could have done that. I could have pumped traveling. It's really kind of awkward to do that. It's a lot of moving parts. This is one thing, really simple. Pump into it, pour it into a bottle, and you're kind of good to go there. Before I go upstairs and feed Rain and kind of demo how to use it while I feed her, I'm going to demonstrate it for you here with this bowl. So this bowl is going to simulate a boob. So I want you guys to understand that you're gonna have kind of a wiggly, squirming baby in one hand, right? So you really can only get it on with one hand. So getting good at getting it on with one hand is gonna be really beneficial. Now I choose, I'll show you that in a minute, but I choose to latch her and then put the Haakaa on. Some people do it the opposite way. I just think it's really kind of like antagonizing for my baby if I'm like messing with my boobs and doing these things when all she wants to do is eat. So I like to latch her, get her calm, and then apply the Haakaa. So to apply the Haakaa, you flip the lips down and then you squeeze it. So it should look like this before you put it on. You're gonna put it on with the nipple in the middle, let the lips kind of flip back down and kind of open up that way. And you see, even on the bowl, it's staying on. If you hit it or knock it, it went flying. So you're gonna flip the lips down. You're gonna squeeze it. Make sure the nipple goes in the middle there. Let the lips kind of flip back over. And that way. And you see it kind of just suctions on there really nicely. It's a little easier on skin because skin moves around a little bit more, but you guys get the idea here. So it'll sit like this, and you'll have the baby that you're feeding on one side and that on the other. Another question I got very much that I was actually surprised about was the question of how do you switch sides with the baby and the Haakaa? Like, how do you feed the baby on both sides? So I know lactation consultants might not like this answer, or doctors or whatever, but this is how I do it and how it's worked for me. And I've talked to other mothers that really like the Haakaa, and this has worked for them as well. So here's kind of the spoiler is I don't always feed Rain on both sides at every feeding. Most times what I do with her is I feed her on one side and I have the Haakaa on the other. At the next feeding, we'll switch. So if baby's on right, Haakaa's on left. At the 9 a.m. feeding, at the 12 p.m. feeding, it's switched. Haakaa's on the left and baby's on the right. That's just what I choose to do. Sometimes if I feel like I can get the Haakaa off and she wants to eat on the other side, I'll just pull it off and put her on that side, and there's plenty of milk still coming out of that side. It's not like the Haakaa depletes you at all. So I know that was a really popular question about like switching her from side to side, and my short answer is I don't. I feed on one side, Haakaa on the other. At the next feeding, swap. Okay, now I'm going to take you guys upstairs and I'm gonna do a little demo with Rain and show you guys how I feed her and how I don't have her kick it off, because that was another very popular question. Okay, so you see what I did to get this on was I latched her first, and then while she's content and eating, I did what I showed you earlier on the bowl. I flip the lips, squeeze it, suction it, flip it down, and now it's staying. Okay, so we can kind of hit it. If she accidentally knees it or arms it, it should be fine. Unless she literally like swats at it or full on kicks it, it really should not fall off. So a lot of you guys also asked how I prevent her from kicking it. So you see how I have her sitting here? I kind of sit her on my leg with her feet underneath it, like clear under the Haakaa, so she can't kick it. If you kind of hold them laying, it's gonna keep their feet right under it or their hands under it, and they're gonna be a lot more likely to kick it off. I think in the entire time that I've been using it, so for 3.5 months, really all I've ever spilled it was like my fault getting it on and off, and it's probably only been once or twice. So I don't have an issue with her kicking it at all. I know that's a very common question for some reason, so I'm gonna stand up a little now and kind of show you guys how I walk around with it on, and the same exact thing, it shouldn't really go anywhere. So same thing, I just kind of keep her legs below it and kind of hold her this way and walk around. You can bend over, you can kind of move around. It should not go anywhere if it's applied correctly. You guys just have to kind of practice applying it the right way. And yeah, it's pretty easy. I walk all over the house with it while I'm feeding her. I'm not somebody that kind of sits down and nurses all the time. I do move around while I do it, and so the Haakaa has been great in that sense where it doesn't move. So we just got down from feeding her, and I wanted to kind of show you guys what came out of it. It's from one feeding. It is 5:30 at night, and I've gotten almost 2 ounces out of her feeding. That was maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It was pretty quick feeding. So that just goes to show you how much milk really can be collected. You figure if you do this multiple times a day, you can get anywhere from 10 to 12 extra ounces a day of milk just from this system. Overnight, in the morning, when you guys are really full, sometimes it'll be as much as 3 to 4 ounces. So this is a great way to kind of build up a milk supply. This is why it's my #1 recommended product. I mean, I'm still using milk from when she was a month, 2 months old. So yeah, we've built a pretty good supply, and I hope you guys can figure out how to make it work for you too.